Right, update on the front suspension. Owing to removing the original Pro Sport 3000, larger hubs, I'm having to do some front changes in the front quite a bit. The front main 38mm tube that comes down from the top point to there, it's going to be different because the lower wishbone now moves further out, and I used to dissect that. You can just see it here. The suspension sits inside that. Now unfortunately that is now going to come this way. The whole hub has moved further out anyway because of my new design upright, but unfortunately this is also going to come out this way. I couldn't particularly move the top wishbone further in to gain the difference in wishbone lengths that I wanted to get the roll setting control right on the front. So what I have to do is shorten the bottom one by 20mm, and that gets me a lot better. So I'm going to have to replace this tube. I'm going to have to replace this diagonal here, because I want to put a second spar between where the wishbone sits between these two halves of the wishbone. I want to put a bar across here just to stop any flex of the wishbone under high loads, so at least the wishbone should move back in one. So I'm having to move this diagonal from reaching down below here to come up here. So unfortunately this bar's got to change, so that's going to be cut and removed and lifted, and there's going to be a bracing here. So the triangulation for this bar come to here and then come back down and just be like quartered off. So quite a few changes at the front there. One problem I had before, or issue, when we first put the car together and realised where the racks have got to be, the rack rod was kind of here, so there's a very short distance between the rack rod and this tube, which unfortunately meant putting a gaiter on. The gaiter is just going to wear out really quickly. So to get round this, I've had to lower the rack down, so effectively I've only got more room. I've only got like about 35mm room from the actual bar out, which gives me plenty of room for a gaiter. Now lowering it down, if anybody knows anything about upright design, previous steering arm was straight. Now lowering the steering arm down basically moves it away from the kingpin angle, or closer to the kingpin angle, because the kingpin angle is there. Lowering it down, you're moving it closer to the kingpin angle. What you're doing there is decreasing the Ackerman. Or was it increasing the Ackerman? Hang on a minute. Let's have a look. That's right, you're decreasing the Ackerman length to the back of the car. Now, I don't know what effect that has, and I don't like the idea of changing something that I'm not too sure about, especially seeing as Ultima, Pro Sport and Stealth all ran the same steering arm setup and roughly the same steering arm rack height, so they all have the same Ackerman angle. So, not with that alternate, lowering it down meant instead of having a nice straight steering arm, I couldn't pull it out any further that way because I've moved the bearing and hub flange this way and then lengthened the whole wishbones further out. So I've had to make a steering angle that's now bent. Still a billet alley 70-75, but I've had to move it instead of straight here, I've had to move it to here and down. Now that obviously causes me issues with the rack, because now to get rid of my bump steer, the rack length, or the main rack rod, technically it's got to be 60mm shorter. Thing goes on. Anyway, so this being 60mm shorter, this being 30mm shorter either side. Now you can see here the rack, the actual rack itself is just a simple bar design, so no problem at all there, just to get these holes deepened, tapped larger, and cut and grind the ends back 30mm. Problem is that, then that limits my rack travel. So now you take the casting, Titan made Stealth item, different to the Ultima, made from the same company but basically different lengths. You've now on here, you can see where the bushes are. You probably can't see it with this video, but there's actually a machine step in the bore of this, so I can have this put back on a lathe. They can bore the centre out again to fit the bushes. I'll probably change the bushes anyway while I'm at it. Put new bushes in, machine the top 30mm at the back, so I can shorten the rack itself and shorten the rod. and pretty much just redesign it. And then I'll get Titan to redraw the rack. I think it's about £100 they charge me to put a new set of drawings up and make it then so the next one will be fine, and at least the right length. Lowering the rack in the car also causes other issues, as it would do. Lowering the rack in the car itself, the angle for the column rod becomes then very, very acute and gets close to the pedals. People with big feet have noted that they can actually interfere your right foot with the steering column. So to get over the two, we'll have to put a second joint in the steering column and end up with basically two universal joints, three universal joints instead of two, to the steering rack. So another small redesign, but then at least I should be able to raise that up out the way and have less of an aggressive angle onto the rack, and actually split the angle into two, which should make less movement. So that's the front suspension. Front suspension, steering rack alterations done. Drawings being drawn up for modifications. Sending this off next week to get turned. That's about it for the moment on the front suspension. There you go.